What is the Brennan Monorail? Meet the Brennan Monorail, an extraordinary train from the early 1900s that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Not only did it balance perfectly on a single rail, but it also mysteriously leaned in the curves without any driver input. This remarkable invention was unveiled in 1910 by Brennan. His vision was that using just one rail instead of two would make trains faster and railways cheaper to build. Brennan's monorail could take corners at higher speeds without derailing, and its railway required only half the materials. Unlike modern monorails, which run on thick, elevated tracks, Brennan's design could operate on existing railways. Though it might look a bit precarious, it was intentionally engineered to be incredibly stable. At the heart of the train was a gyroscope that corrected the train's tilt even before passengers noticed. For 1910, this was truly mind-blowing engineering. But how exactly did it work? We recreated the entire system and studied the original patents to reveal just how brilliantly clever this design was. To fully understand it, we first need to grasp how gyroscopes function. How does a gyroscope work? The basic idea is this: when you spin a disc rapidly, its angular momentum makes it resist changes in orientation. If you try to tilt it one way, it begins to rotate on its vertical axis, a phenomenon called precession. Interestingly, if you induce precession, the disc tilts in the opposite direction. Because of this, a gyro always strives to return to equilibrium. Brennan saw this principle as the key to keeping his train balanced. He experimented by placing a small flywheel inside a model train and powering it with an electric motor. Whenever the train began to tip, the disc's precession would keep it upright. However, a problem soon emerged. When the train turned, the gyro didn't turn with it. Since the gyro tried to maintain its spatial orientation, from the train's perspective, it was precessing in a way that caused the train to tilt and risk falling off the track. To solve this, Brennan added a second gyro spinning in the opposite direction. The two gyros were connected by a gear so that when one precessed one way, the other precessed the opposite way. When the train navigated a curve, both gyros wanted to maintain their original direction, which was impossible. Forced to rotate with the train, the unwanted precession canceled out, stabilizing the vehicle. With that problem fixed, Brennan began building a full-sized prototype that could carry real passengers. It was a 12-meter-long 22-ton vehicle with two massive gyros spinning at 3,500 RPM. Scaling up the challenge. But scaling up revealed a major challenge. The gyros had to not only fight their own rotation, but also resist gravity pulling the heavy train down as it leaned. While this was manageable in the small model, overcoming 22 tons of force required much stronger gyroscopes. Just as Brennan pondered this dilemma over lunch, a letter arrived that would hold the key to the solution. It was from the King of Nigeria offering generous funding. Just kidding, that never happened. But if it had, Brennan could have turned to Incogni, today's sponsor, to help. A word from Incogni. Every day, countless spam emails and unwanted calls flood our inboxes and phones, often from companies we never signed up with. Why? Because data brokers sell our information to marketers who bombard us with unwanted ads. Even worse, this data can be leaked or stolen by criminals. Thankfully, you have the right to protect yourself. Incogni contacts these companies on your behalf to remove any personal information they hold. All you have to do is sign up, relax, and watch Incogni do the work. Here are just some of the companies that no longer have my data. To safeguard your privacy and cut down on spam, visit incogni.com/primalspace and use the code primalspace to get 60% off. Balancing the Brennan monorail. To keep the monorail perfectly balanced, Brennan needed to counteract its own weight, constantly trying to tip it over. As the train leaned, the center of gravity shifted, pulling it down more. Natural gyro precession wasn't fast or strong enough to stabilize the train, so Brennan devised a new approach, controlling the gyro's precession directly. By forcing them to precess faster than usual, a stronger corrective force pushed the train back upright. He connected the gyros to a petrol engine and sealed them in vacuum casings to reduce friction. Even if power failed, the gyros could spin for up to 30 minutes, buying time before the train would tip. The gyros were mounted on a single gimbal, allowing rotation along the train's roll axis. The axles extended outside the casings, resting between two guide plates attached to the chassis. As the train tilted, Friction between the axles and plates made the gyros precess much faster, pushing the train back to balance. But vibrations caused the gyros to bounce on the plates, producing inconsistent force. So Brennan removed the guide plates and found an even smarter solution. He fixed the gyros directly to the chassis, making them rotate with the train. When tipping occurred, the gyros precessed naturally. The right-hand gyro's axle connected to a mechanism controlling an actuator rod, linked to a lever and two valves managing compressed airflow. The compressed air traveled through pipes into a large tube running through the gyroscope center, where a gear rack moved back and forth between the two gyros. When the train tilted, the actuator closed one valve, directing compressed air through one pipe and into the tube's end. This increased pressure pushed the gear rack, forcing the gyros to precess in the opposite direction, returning the train to equilibrium. All of this happened instantly. The gyros reacted before the train could become unbalanced. The genius was in the pneumatic system. The small force from the gyros was amplified by compressed air acting over a larger area, multiplying the corrective power. This design multiplied the tipping force against itself, creating a train that always sought to stay level. It was so stable that even if every passenger stood on one side, the monorail would remain perfectly balanced. What happened to the Brennan monorail? The prototype was a major success and looked like the future of rail travel. Sadly, investors weren't convinced. Two rail trains were already dominant, and the need for every carriage to have its own gyroscope made the concept costly and complex. Still, discovering inventions like this reminds us of the incredible genius behind early engineering feats. Primal Space Giveaway. Congrats to Cameron, winner of our last giveaway. In our next video, we'll be giving away another Primal Space Voyager poster from our store to one lucky winner. To enter, sign up at the link below, like the video, and comment with your thoughts on Brennan's design. Thanks for watching. See you next time.